www.alinaimonmoon.com. Chapter 111. Total of 126 chapters. Book name: The sign on moon has been revealed. Islam will take over the world. Chapter 111. Quran Chapter Kahf. Connection to name Ali on moon and the 12th Imam Mahdi. Recitation of Chapter Kahf in Quran is especially recommended on Fridays. Chapter Kahf is precisely in the middle of the Quran and has several relevant messages. One of the greatest messages from this chapter Kahf is contained in the 9th verse. It was the 9th verse of the chapter Kahf. Holy Imam Hussein recited in Kufa city when his head was on a lance. Holy Imam Hussein's head was decapitated in Karbala and put on a spear. The decapitated head of Holy Imam Hussein reached the city of Kufa. In the morning Ibn Zayd called for the head of Holy Imam Hussein and ordered it to be paraded in the streets of Kufa and among all the clans. Zayd bin Arqam says that, I was on my terrace when the head passed by me. The head was placed upon a lance. When it came close to me, I heard it recite Quran 18:9. Or do you reflect that the companions of the cave and of the inscription were wonders among our signs? The hair of my skin arose and I said, O son of the Prophet of Allah, your mystery, as also your task, is most astonishing, and yes, most astonishing. Then after it was paraded in the city of Kufa, it was brought back to the royal palace. By reading the chapter Kahf verse 9 on a spear, Holy Imam Hussein drew our attention to it. For centuries Muslims have asked why Holy Imam Hussein recited verse 9 in chapter Kahf. Why was verse 9 in chapter Kahf so important? Before we answer this question, we have to look at some prophetic traditions from the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Many prophetic hadiths connect chapter Al-Kahf with the arrival of the Dajjal, the Antichrist era. Prophet Muhammad said, whoever enters his hell, let him seek refuge with Allah and recite the opening verse of chapter Al-Kahf, and it will become cool and peaceful for him, as the fire became cool and peaceful for Abraham. Sunni Book Ibn Kathir. The reason why the Prophet Muhammad recommended reading chapter Al-Kahf is that it contains very important signs pointing to the advent of Mahdi. Since the advent of Mahdi is linked to the advent of Dajjal, the Antichrist. Chapter Al-Kahf contains the signs required for the believer's resistance and fight against the Dajjal and the irreligious movements bringing great evil to humanity, which Dajjal, the Antichrist, wants to spread around the world. When we look at the Quran verse 9 of chapter Kahf, which Holy Imam Hussein recited on spear, we find 5 important arguments. Allah says in Quran 18:9, or do you reflect that the companions of the cave and of the inscription were wonders among our signs? This was Quran 18:9. The first is reflection, the second is companions of the cave, the third is inscription, the fourth is wonders, the fifth is sign. It is obvious Holy Imam Hussein, when his head was on a spear, wanted people to draw their attention to verse 9 of chapter Kahf and reflect on it. The reflection was to reflect on companions of the cave and the inscription because both were wonderful and both were signs of Allah. The story briefly told about companions of the cave is like this. 7 young believers and their dog, being the 8th, decided to save their lives by isolating themselves in a cave from persecution by a brutal king, because they believed in Allah and His oneness. Allah mentions their brave action in Quran and places a stamp of approval on their actions, and describes how He preserved them for 309 years in a state of deep sleep by making their ears deaf. Thus, Allah covered them with His mercy and protected them from being found, He saved them from being killed by the ruthless nation for their refusal to associate any partner with Allah and to worship any other besides Him. He did this by protecting their bodies against the sun and wind, turning their bodies on their right and on their left in their sleep, stationing their dog at the cave's entrance. The name of the dog is Qatmir, and he is still sitting at the entrance and guarding his masters. They remained asleep 309 years. That age ended, another period dawned and another generation came up. Allah woke them up from the long sleep. They thought they had slept one day. Then one of them visited the town, and to his astonishment he witnessed that they had slept for over 300 years. After their long sleep, Allah increased their guidance as told in Quran. Allah says in Quran 18:13, "We narrate unto thee their story with truth. Lo, they were young men who believed in their Lord, and we increased them in guidance." What kind of guidance did Allah give to the 7 young believers? There is no doubt that when Allah gives guidance to someone, He opens their heart to Imam Ali being controlling authority of universe, and then guides them further in guidance through Imam Ali. During the early days in Mecca, when the idol worshippers were rejecting the claim of the Prophet Muhammad, Allah revealed a verse to relieve him by saying, Quran 13:43, "And those who disbelieve say, You are not a messenger. Say, Allah is sufficient as a witness and the one who has knowledge of the book." Prophet Muhammad is being supported by Allah and the one who has knowledge of the book. Thus it doesn't matter if the idolaters do not believe in the claim of prophethood. It is sufficient that Allah and the one who has knowledge of the book are witnesses to the truth of Prophet Muhammad's claim. Who is this person who has knowledge of the book? According to Shia reports, supported by Sunni sources, it refers to Imam Ali. How does the description having knowledge of the book prove the universal authority for Imam Ali? If recalled, Asif bin Baqiyah, Prophet Solomon's vizier, had so much power over nature that he could bring the throne of the Queen of Sheba before the twinkling of an eye. Asif bin Baqiyah has been described as someone who had knowledge of a portion of the book, not the knowledge of the entire book. In comparison to this, Imam Ali has been described by Allah as someone who has knowledge of the book, not just a portion of the book. Therefore, it is not difficult to conclude that the power of Imam Ali over nature must be many times greater than that of Asif bin Baqiyah, who brought the throne from far away before the twinkling of an eye. Imam Ali, who has the full knowledge of the Quran, gave some of this knowledge of Quran to companions of the cave and guided them and made all of them excellent Shias. Then companions of the cave were again put to sleep and are still sleeping. In Book Al-Ash, Shia 231 and other sources, it is written that the companions of the cave, all 7 of them, will accompany the 12th Imam al-Mahdi when he emerges from his veiled excellence. Companions of the cave will be amongst the famous 313 companions of Holy Imam Mahdi. All 313 companions of Holy Imam Mahdi will have some knowledge of the Quran like Asif bin Baqiyah. Allah has given through Holy Imam Ali all 313 companions of Imam Mahdi some knowledge of the Quran. Since they will be 313 viziers of Imam Mahdi, their powers will be far greater than Asif bin Baqiyah. All Muslims believe in the miraculous and wonderful episode of companions of the cave in their being preserved by Allah's might for centuries. Then what prevents some Muslims to believe in Mahdi, who also have been preserved by Allah for centuries? By showing the episode of companions of the cave in Quran, Allah had made it clear to all humanity that when He can preserve ordinary humans in a cave for centuries, then He also can preserve His light, the 12th Imam Mahdi, on earth for an appointed duration. Allah is the maker of the signs of companions of the cave and the inscription. Both signs He has connected together and deemed them to be wonderful signs. All Muslims agree on the story of companions of the cave, but on the inscription there is much uncertainty. The uncertainty is on what this wonderful inscription is. With certainty it could be said that the only known inscription wonderful is written on moon the name Ali in Arabic. Whatever this inscription is, it could not be more wonderful than the wonderful inscription of the name Ali written in Arabic on the moon. No human-made inscription in this world can compare itself with the inscription written on the moon. If all human beings on earth get together and makes efforts to make a similar inscription, they will never be able to do it. First they must collect enough matter to make a moon, then they have to put the moon around the earth, and engrave a name on moon so it could be easily seen from earth. In addition, make billions of other efforts. Making all this is impossible, a dreamland, a utopia. If we consider the wonderful inscription on the moon to be the wonderful inscription mentioned in Quran chapter Kahf, then we can understand its significance. Why is the inscription called Arakim in Quran mentioned with companions of the cave? Companions of the cave are those who will be the supporters of Mahdi. The advent of Mahdi is linked to Dajjal, the Antichrist advent. Like Mahdi, the companions of the cave have been out of sight for centuries. The same can without doubt be said about the inscription Ali name on moon. It was first in 1997 when a Shia of Imam Ali living in Norway disclosed the secret that it became known. There is no doubt that Imam Ali's name on moon is the sign of Mahdi and his emblem. The inscription Ali on moon is advertising Imam Mahdi's arrival in future. A flag of Allah visible to all humanity. The inscription Ali on moon is the greatest sign and guidance for mankind regarding Imam Mahdi's future arrival. This great sign are among billions of misleading signs of Dajjal, the Antichrist. It is a great comfort for believers in the time of great misguidance and trials ahead. Holy Imam Jafar al-Sadiq said that Allah will test the believers with different trials before the rising of the Mahdi. Then he referred to Quran chapter Al-Baqarah. Quran says in 2:155, "And surely we shall try you with something of fear and hunger, and loss of wealth and lives and crops, but give good news to the patient." The good news in above-mentioned verse is the rising of Mahdi according to Holy Imam Jafar Sadiq. The moon is already publicly advertising the good news of Imam Mahdi's forthcoming arrival and thereby giving much comfort to the believers. The Messenger of Allah Muhammad has said, "Al-Mahdi is from my progeny, his face is like the brightly illuminated moon." Book name by Harul Anwar, Volume 51, page 85, Kashful Ghamma. It has been narrated from Holy Imam Hussain ibn Ali al-Askari that one who dies and does not have a cognizance of him dies the death of the period of decadence pre-Islamic times. Book name by Harul Anwar, Volume 51, page 160, Kamal ad-Din. Muslims who are not aware of Holy Imam Mahdi should hurry and get awareness of Holy Imam Mahdi before their death and then be secure from the death of Jahiliyyah, the pre-Islamic times. After getting awareness of Imam Mahdi, they should salute him in the manner told down under. A man once asked Holy Imam Jafar ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq how he should send his salutations upon Imam al-Qa'im the Mahdi, and the Holy Imam replied, "Say greetings be upon you, O remnants of Allah. Assalamu alaikum ya Baqi Atullah." By Harul Anwar, Volume 52, page 373. Chapter 111. Total of 126 chapters. Ali Rizvi is author of book titled, "The Sign on Moon Has Been Revealed, Islam Will Take Over the World." The book titled, "The Sign on Moon Has Been Revealed, Islam Will Take Over the World," can be downloaded from www.alinameonmoon.com.